And welcome to this Gaslands UK's Car of the Year meeting. And here we are, all sat in our cosy little hovels around the country, and not just the country, in lovely sunny Belgium as well. And you will recognise our voices, no doubt, but some of you won't recognise our handsome bearded faces. So I think we're going to go round and just do a little hello, and you, as the audience, will know where to send your hate mail then at the end of the day. So obviously, I'm Matt. Hello. Nice to meet you all. Well, not I can see you. Glad you could join us. And we're here to talk about all the fantastic builds that we've had this year. We've had 12 months of them, 13 winners over 12 months. And we're going to go through and just discuss which one is deserving of this year's Car of the Year T-shirt. Ooh, fantastic prize. All right, so who shall I hand over to next? Next in seniority is Colin Havard. So do you want to say hello, Colin?
Oh, hi. I've been around longer than you, though, and I'm older than you, so hi. All hate mail sent to mattreeves@gmail.com. He's my personal assistant. He will deal with things. I'm coming from you from the wonderful land of Great Yarmouth on the East Coast. I would say I'm the most easterly here, but there's someone over the water in Belgium. But hi.
All right. Well, that leads us on to our man over the water then. Do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Hello, I'm David. I'm the man from on the other side of the pond. So in beautiful Belgium, the land of beer and chocolate and fries. Yeah, we do fries too. And I'll be looking with this lot to all the winners of the past year, so we can indeed make a decision on who wins this fabulous T-shirt.
Of which you already own one, I believe.
I do.
Are you wearing it now?
Unfortunately, no, I am not.
You're fired. Right, moving on. Got mine. Has Colin got his hoodie? Have you got your hoodie on, Colin?
No, I'm wearing a pink hoodie.
Are you wearing a pink hoodie?
I look like a marshmallow.
I should think that needs a wash. I've been seeing that on Facebook for the last week.
That's a different one.
Oh, is it? Okay, you got a
That's a Wing
wardrobe.
Chun one.
Oh, right. Did it go in the wash with a red sock?
No, I ordered it pink.
It wasn't white originally.
No.
Matthew, would you care to do the honours?
Don't like your names.
No, I don't like being
Hey, by God, it's grim up north.
Get ready for scolding.
Hello, I'm Matt Whitham. I'm our northern representative. It's going to be dead interesting doing this Car of the Year thing and actually communicating with everybody and just discussing things openly, as opposed to on Messenger as we usually do. So it's going to be intriguing. This I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be intriguing because you won about 6 of the months.
Yeah.
I only got 2 this year.
I only got 2 this year, right?
Only.
And how
Remind us of how many golds is that you have?
I think I've got 6 total golds. Yeah,
I thought it was more. I thought it was 8, wasn't it?
I've got 6 golds, 2 silvers, and 2 bronzes.
Okay, so
for a grand total of 10.
so you're actually running to win this thing this year.
We'll see how it goes. But it's going to be interesting.
Brilliant. And a fellow Norwichian, John Simpson Wedge.
Hello. Hopefully not last but not least. Oh, wait, no, other way around. I'm John Simpson Wedge. I am, like Matt Whitham, one of the newer judges. So it's going to be really interesting because for half these months, Matt and I were competitors. I didn't win any. I did get a silver and a bronze in the first half of the year. But it'll be really interesting to hear some of the judges' thoughts on gold, and I'm sure share our opinions, possibly with a capital O, as we go.
Unlike previous years where we've started by saying, which do you think is the worst? We're just going to go through month by month, and we're just going to discuss the winners. And it's going to be positive, isn't it, guys? It's going to be bags of positivity. No need to constructively pick apart, but we're just going to say what we liked and why it stood out and what makes it deserving of Car of the Year. let's start with January 2024, which was our commuter chaos month.
Yeah.
So commuter-based builds, things you would like to go to work riding in the world of Gaslands. And first place was Mr. Whitham with his absolutely incredibly detailed build. What is it? It's like a little utility truck. It's like your local odd job man going to work, isn't it? Yeah. And this absolutely stands out as one of the highlights of the year for me, just because of that caulking gun. To see you have to make
caulking gun
about this size was a stroke of genius. Not just that, but all those amazing tools and buckets and spades and hand grenades that you attached to that was stunning. It was brilliant.
Because it's a very, very small casting, the K-truck.
There's so much detail packed in there. It's really deceptive how small those things are, and they're scratch built as well, aren't they?
I really enjoyed making that. I love making things with stupid amounts of detail and little finicky parts, and it was a build that I just sort of got carried away with and lost in, and I made far too much stuff to go on the actual truck in the end, so there was a little pile of extra bits somewhere that
dear Lord.
would get attached. It was just one of them builds that I got lost in.
The fully articulated arm is glorious. I think that's one of the things that, you know, really came across in the photos, was going, hang on a minute, that arm isn't in the same position each time. Oh, that really works and extends and moves, and that seemed pretty incredible.
Forget about the arm, John. It has a photocopying machine on it. when have you ever seen a tabletop game that uses a photocopy of a Xerox machine? It's insane.
Can you drop toner and use it as a hazard generator on the track?
Matt probably tried to make the photocopier work as well.
Technically, thematically, and aesthetically, genius, isn't it? Really.
One thing that I finally found out: the rear shocks are built in on the rear axle housing. That's brilliant. And the left rear running light has a crack in it. I've never seen that in the pictures, and I don't know if it's been done on purpose or not. But if it's
sure,
a crack
of course it was.
Cool. Oh, nice, whoa, great work. But no, it's just like, oh, cool. This has a crack. This really looks used.
Oh, that was definitely a completely intentional little bit of damage. Yeah. It's
wonderful.
All right, so we've all completely jizzed over this. Has anybody got anything that is negative to say? Anything critical?
The style is a bit more, it's a bit less sort of pure realism than a lot of your other builds. And I remember you saying you were painting this one right up to the wire when you mentioned it in the Facebook group. And I think it still really works. But I think compared to some of your other builds, both this year and last year as well, there's a slightly less there is slightly less subtlety or slightly less refinement in some of it, but I think because it's so vibrant and so chaotic, it kind of works anyway. It's a bit more sort of impression, like some of the rust around the front especially doesn't feel quite so subtle as like your normal work, but it still really looks good. It just looks slightly different to a classic Matt Whitham, if that makes sense.
Quite like the concept of a classic Matt Whitham. I totally agree with that. Like I say, I ran out of time and there's just bits of finesse. I don't like the headlights. They've gone a bit foggy. I wanted them to be more clear. So they didn't work as well as I wanted.
Can we see it? Can you hold it in your hand? Can we just see how tiny it is?
Oh, this will be very tiny.
Yeah.
Do we have a banana to scale?
Yes. Look at that. Amazing.
Oh, God. That's only half a beard.
Yeah.
A quarter, maybe.
On the beardometer. It's something I've said in the past when we've been judging stuff. It might not be the most Gaslandsian sort of, it's not a race car. It's not, it's not what you'd expect to see like battling around a racetrack, but yeah, it's all right. I quite like it.
It fit the brief. It's a guy going to work under difficult circumstances with his, if he needs to spike some zombies out the way, he's got a front ram on there. And if he needs to drop a photocopier on someone's head, he's got the ability to do it.
If he has to paint lines on the road,
it's got a paint roller for that.
Yeah, it's who I'd be calling to silicon seal my bathroom in the post-apocalypse.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Is that high on your list of priorities in the post-apocalyptic?
Yeah, black mould in the bathroom. Yeah, gotta get rid of that. February's car of the month was Cult of the V8, which was just a roundabout way of saying Mad Max again. We'd done Mad Max already. Furiosa movie was coming out, wasn't it? There's a bit of a buzz about that. Nick from North Star has that fantastic line of War Boy figures. And so, yeah, that was the theme, Cult of the V8. It didn't have to be particularly Mad Max, but, that was what it was asking for. And Molinaro Dominique, Dom, was our winner that month with a very interesting outside-the-box build, if you remember that one. The car was actually shaped like a V8 engine, wasn't it? It had a V8 in it, and on the roof was a giant V8 made out of oil drums, that Immortan Joe symbol, burning flames, and yes, typically Molinaro, thinking outside the box, do something very different, and he absolutely delivered that month.
Well, we've asked for Cult of the V8 and he delivered.
He did, absolutely, yeah.
I love the middle
I
of
wasn't
it.
a big fan.
Oh, go on, Colin, you start.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it, to tell you the truth, but I got outvoted on that one.
You were the dissenting
Why?
opinion.
Go on. Why weren't you a fan of that one, Colin?
I just think it was the surrealism of Dominique, or Dom, didn't work on that one. It was the wrong sort of thing to go that sort of surreal on.
Okay.
I mean, the engine just looks ridiculous. It's not an engine at all. It's bits made to look like an engine, and I just didn't like it.
Well, because it was a shrine, wasn't it? It's like a cult.
Yeah.
It's like it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a giant working engine. It's supposed to look like that is where they worship at their altar of engineness.
Just wasn't sold on it.
At first, I was a bit confused by it when I saw it, but then when I saw the gas mask wearing war boy kind of cleric in the middle of the shrine inside the big air scoop, that's what sold me on it. I really like the middle of the build. I think the suspension felt quite underwhelming and underpowered for how heavy the middle of it is, and then the bit at the top just felt like it veered from sort of surreal to just gonna act as a massive air brake and fall over backwards the minute it accelerated. But I love everything in the middle. I really like the kind of cargo cult V8. We've made a giant V8 and we're sitting in it. When in a month where everybody else was going with, screen perfect replicas and that kind of thing, which certainly what I was working towards, I was very surprised when this one, but I really liked how different it was.
Yeah, this was something else. I must agree with Colin. I'm also not sold on it, but it does have the typical Dominique Molinaro sauce dripped across it, but it's a bit too bland for him. He's better when he goes more colorful. So it's a bit on the darker side, but it's unique. I think it's in the field of what everybody has thrown out there to have a look at us. I think this was as a judge, the easy choice to make because it was just so different. And it was also spot on brief.
I wasn't a massive fan of it at first, but getting to look at some better images of it, it's like John was saying, the middle section is beautifully done. I think that big symbol at the back it throws it a bit out of scale. It's all a bit too clean and smooth. It just needs some finer detail on it to get it back to like 1/64th scale. It looks like it could almost be a belt buckle or something pulled off something real life and stuck on it. Suspension is weird as well. It just don't look right on that bottom half. But yeah, I liked it as built, and it was a nice spin on the sort of Cult of V8 thing. Like it's been said, lots of people did replicas or very close sort of versions of screen cars, and this was just a nice spin on the theme, and it works quite well. And I like it as that sort of throny altar figurehead. You could imagine it at the front of the pack of cars, and everybody's sort of following it, and going to the shiny chrome deaths or whatever it is. So yeah, I quite like it.
I'd also like to remind you that the tyres, the dirt's on the tread, not inside the tread.
Yeah, like I said, that bottom third, there are issues. Yeah, that's definitely one. And it is one of the biggest Gasland sins we see every month.
It is.
Is people dry brushing weathering rather than inlaying weathering on tyres.
Paint them the dirt colour, then dry brush them with the black.
Yeah.
Then dry brush them a second time with the lighter where the thread touches the road.
Or use pigments, use oil washes, use enamel washes. There's so many things you can do that will naturally flow through capillary action into the tyres that's not overly complicated or overly expensive or like any kind of master technique. It's just do it the other way around. Don't dry brush the dirt.
Yeah.
I paint the tyres and then get a cotton bud or Q-tip and rub it round to take off that excess on the outside.
So next time we won't see any badly painted tires anymore, I hope.
Yeah,
not back to front.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Good. Go on.
March, car of the month, my first Gaslands. Now, I thought this was inspired.
Yeah.
This was very clever and very different. But not everyone got the idea of what we were asking for. Where did they this month? We had some very strange ideas of scale and also what constitutes a kiddie's car. But the winner that month, once again, was our Northern Viking up there, Mr. Whitham, with his, I loved it, his A-team build, being driven by B.A. Barackas and rest of the gang.
Hannibal Smith behind.
Hannibal, Face, and Murdoch.
Surely this counts as assault.
Sorry. But again...
Surely it's driven by Mr. Yorkshire Tea.
Mr. Yorkshire Tea.
Ooh, the spiffing Brits.
Yeah, wrong side of the border. Oh.
Oh God, I'm looking at the pictures, Matt. Oh, you madman! You have painted that too well. Now I remember why you won this.
Yeah, this was another little sort of passion project that I got carried away on, and it was when I was struggling for an idea for making the kiddies car sort of thing, and weirdly, sort of hung on a desk light on my nerdy desk. My brother had bought me an 18 van key ring like 20 odd years ago, and I looked at it and I thought that's probably kiddie car scale. Let's go with that. So that's where the sort of idea came from, and then it was a case of how do I make the A-team. And thankfully, I bought quite a few of the North Star figures over the year. Well, I say years. I haven't been doing it that long, but the previous 18 months or whatever. And it was a case of trying to work out which of them I could tweak and modify and customize into the A-team. So, one I got carried away with it again, much like the little repair truck, and just really enjoyed making the build.
I just might say you came in and you dunked on everyone. This is even smaller than your January entry. It's better painted and it's smaller.
I didn't realise. I feel like a right twig now.
It's only 1/4 of a build.
God! I thought you had bought those figures.
No, so they're all North Star figures, customised. So,
I didn't realise that. I thought that they were either 3D prints or you bought from some set from somewhere.
No, so B.A. Barackas is one of the war boys.
Right.
Hannibal's the Mad Max one.
Oh,
really?
Oh, yeah. I have that.
Murdoch's one of the sort of bootleggers.
Right.
And then, I think... Face is one of the war boys as well. So he got a little jacket sculpted and hair sculpted, and
wow.
So
amazing. The pink shirt,
madman.
Yeah, it's just.
And then I had to work out how to make them all little Rugers as opposed to the whatever weapons they had already. So painting the jacket was, an absolute pain in the backside. That was the bit I hated the most, trying to get that somewhere near. I'm trying to think what weapons they had originally. I think both Face and Murdoch had sort of AKE assault rifle weapons already. So they were just a case of cutting them down, tweaking magazines, and then making tiny barrels out of, I think it's 0.5 brass tube with 0.1 brass tube over the top for the details, and then a very tiny sight super glued on. And then Hannibal's was scratch built, because I think he's got a double barrel shotgun on the original model. So yeah,
the go-kart engine in the back as well.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, yeah, that's a go-kart engine.
So yeah, it was trying to get that feeling of it being almost a vehicle from I think I put the background as it was from a theme park or something, like, kids ride on vehicles and they've stolen it and become mid-show entertainment or whatever, almost like a comedy clown vehicle with a bunch of people acting like idiots. But yeah, it's a kiddie's car being used by a bunch of guys toting guns, all from the idea of a stupid keyring that was hanging off a desk light.
Onwards to April, which was an in-game sponsored theme, Mishkin, who are the technological giants in the world of Gaslands, which proved to be slightly controversial because Mishkin are the Russian team, but it's not all about Russia. It's an alternate reality post-apocalyptic game, so you didn't have to make any references to Russia. We just wanted to see something that wasn't a rusty 1930s Ford. We wanted to see more sci-fi vehicles, and that is what we got. And our winner that month was newcomer. I think that was his first entry, wasn't it? Was Rob Churchill. Rob with his digitally painted rocket car.
The digital
it's a Matchbox
camo
car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an old Matchbox car. It's the one with the working
the spinning
blades
fans
in the back, the spinning fans. Yeah, and originally those are Candy Rat.
He didn't actually have to modify the car very much, did he? Which I didn't realise. I thought he's done all sorts of crazy modifications there, and it's not. It's just a weirdly shaped car.
It's a really well chosen base build for the shape, definitely.
I do think the paint job brings it really into the more futuristic weaponry. It's really well chosen. The digital camo transforms this really into a futuristic war machine. Very simple, because you would never guess if you put an original cast besides that. And that's very, very cartoony, very wacky racing. And if you see this, just even the paint job, it's just, it transforms it so much.
That's the clever contrast, isn't it? So I think you'd see that car normally as a Hot Wheels, and it would be all fluorescent colours, wouldn't it, and bright and sci-fi. And he's taken that and he's done this drab military, and it works so well. And those wheels really remind me of the APC in Aliens.
Because of that digital camo style with the square patterning, it does something really interesting with those rounded shapes. I think you're right. If it had been a kind of blobby Spetsnaz style camo or one of the other sort of Soviet camo schemes, it would have it would have been really difficult on the eye to read, because you would have kind of really overdoubled the curvy, bubbly nature of it. But having those crisp, hard lines from the digital camo is really nice, and I think that works really well with the robot kind of Tesla cannon arm as well. That sort of side-mounted weapon, off axis, off center is lovely, and that's the kind of main bit of scratch building. It's maybe not the most super hyper detailed, but on the other hand, the kind of clean lines of it are very Mishkin, so it did feel quite on theme.
But there's a lot of scratch building also going on for a largely standard cast. So if you can see the cockpit is very well rebuilt, because it has radio screens, it has buttons, luminescent lighting. A good choice of driver there. I can't remember if there's a driver in the Matchbox 1 or not.
No, that's
it's off the Implements
driver.
of Carnage. It's a plastic Implements of Carnage one.
And on the other side, it has the flat wheel hubcaps we all hate, and it does work here.
Yeah, I think they work because they look like they're sort of ablative paneling over the outside of the wheels, maybe kind of adding to this kind of shape. Yeah, if they were on a very kind of rugged UAZ kind of truck bed, it would look very odd. But here, those flat wheels really work nicely.
I love the reflections, like chrome reflection in the visor of the driver, which nice to see.
It was pretty much unanimous amongst the judges as well with this one. I think 4 all voted it in first place. The only downsides that people were talking about was the arcing on the front. Would like to see that blue instead of purple, with the wire work. But it was nice that he went for an asymmetric weapon and resisted the urge to have machine guns coming out the front, where you got perfect positions for them.
Yeah, I didn't get this build or why it had won at first, but seeing some decent photos of it, there's some crazy detail in there, and there's some lovely little paint job bits. And like I say about all the camouflage and stuff, it just really works with the form, and it gives it that modern edge to what looks like a very retro shape. And like John was saying earlier, if you can put camouflage on some things and it just ruins the build and the lines and how something looks. And this is just beautifully done. I totally get why it was up in first place now.
Now, what you also have to take into effect, you put that driver in, and he's a tiny little driver. So that's an absolute unit of a car. It's massive. If you take it into consideration with a normal car, that's like 1.5 car widths and probably about 2 car lengths. And it's like someone's taken a Russian jet, and just put wheels on it.
May 2024, which was Life is a Beach.
Oh, yeah, we had to rename that picture. Okay.
Can we order a saucer of milk, please?
Can we order some cheese to go with the sour grapes?
Yes.
There's please keep the salt. We only need some pepper.
But it's the seaside. It's going to be salty.
In first place, Mache.
Please, Colin.
With his absolutely incredible. We have a lot of hyperbole when we describe these builds, but I do think it was fantastic in a fantastical sense. Hermit crab with this deep sea diver. It's controversial because it wasn't the only hermit crab we had that month.
We have another one.
We had another one. We did have another one. So many scratch-built parts. So many delightful little details. Really evocative. But the question is it Gaslands? Yes. Over to you, Matt Whitham.
How did I know that was coming my way? It is a beautiful build, and I think for any post-apocalyptic setting, if you'd have said, ooh, design me a seafront trader for Fallout, boom, bang. On the nail on the head. For a post-apocalyptic racing game that is cars shooting each other, it's not Gaslands. That's my view of it. It's not, nobody would be fielding that in a game and having it run around the track, going for pole position, or heading to the finish line. That was my major whinge about it.
That's a fair point.
It's but yeah, like you've already said, it is beautifully made. The details on it are amazing. It's a beautiful paint job. It's a lovely object, and yeah. It's just not Gaslands to me. That's my only complaint about it. Saltiness gone.
John, your views?
My view is that this is tighter to the theme than the A-Team.
Ooh.
This is
smoking handbag.
This is relevant. I love this build. I was of the various builds that I saw. The Battle of the Hermit Crabs was great, and I was delighted that one of the Hermit Crabs won. I would have possibly been more delighted if it had been mine, obviously. But it's a stunning build. It's so evocative. The deep sea diver is incredible. The crab is just oozes character. I think you know, for something with a base, again, there's always that discussion about how much of a base is too much, how much is enough. This is a great example of a base that feels relatively thematic and but still minimalistic. It doesn't veer into kind of diorama territory at all. That's brilliant. The lantern is brilliant. I mean, it's kind of evocative of other seaside things and, you know, anglerfish and that kind of deep sea horrors. I do totally get the point that is this the kind of thing you'd see racing around the track? Yes, in last place. But it's it for me, it just is so life's a beach. Yeah, this is somebody who lives on the sea, lives by the sea. Maybe they're going to watch the local Gaslands race across the salt beds, you know. It's a lovely thing. I love this.
I also do agree with John and Matt, as Matt says. It's a bit less Gaslands in the arena racing, but I do agree with John saying it's more in the lore side of things. Maybe this man is going to watch a race on the seaside. Also, yeah, build is also superb. I do think from those who have gotten to the podium that this deservingly has taken a win.
So for June, we had a very popular month. A lot of people got quite excited by this one, and it was Movie Madness. Movie Madness. That was Modelmatic, wasn't it, who sponsored that one?
Was indeed.
It was, wasn't it? And again, some very interesting takes on the theme. Some obvious takes and some really not obvious, some really sort of obscure or lesser known films that people went to town with. Our first place was Jeff. It was Jeff Burbidge with his National Lampoon's vehicle. And the judges, we had a hard choice with this one, with our first and second place, the judges, but it just pipped Mr. Whitham's to the post. Now, I think Colin should lead the charge on this, because I think you're a fan of the film, aren't you, Colin? So you knew a lot of the references.
Very much a fan of National Lampoon's vacation movies, and as soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what it was, and I was just in awe of it because it's so many little touches on it. For argument's sake, the dog lead hanging off the back is a reference to, when he ties the dog to the back and drives off and forgets about it, and then gets pulled over by the police who ask about it. It's like he suddenly realised there's the chair from the Christmas Vacation sat on the top, and at the time one of the judges didn't like it because of the layer lines on the 3D print and things like that, but we were just in awe of it, even down to the point of on the hubcaps you've got the proper logo from the vehicle in the movie on there. It was just little touches that just went, okay, he's hit the theme for a movie and brought it into Gaslands. It was just like, although people did complain weren't weapons on there and things like that, the only effective weapon you've got Granny with a weapon in her hands, and you've got a ram on the front which still follows lines of the movie car. So he's built a ram to look like the front and the headlights of the car, which was ridiculous because it did have 8 headlights on it. I looked at it and thought, it's perfection. You couldn't gone any further into National Lampoons without looking at this and going, I know what that is. I was looking at it now and I'm still in awe of it. The only downside, there's a skull on there that's out of scale, but apart from that, it's great. You've got the butane tank, which is also the right colour from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's just so many little references from the whole film genre, apart from the new ones. We don't count them because they don't exist.
I love the softness of his painting on this. How he's achieved that. I'm assuming that's airbrushing, but also a lot of dry brushing as well. I think that's very nicely done. My criticism of this is that insignia on the wheels. Whilst it is a nice touch, every wheel has it in exactly the same orientation. They should
spun a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know what he was thinking when he stuck them on, whether he wanted to leave it upright so it was recognisable. But
if I recall, in the movie, they're actually spinners, so they don't actually move.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Are they?
Oh, wow.
So that is correct.
Okay, that'll be an
Ooh,
explanation.
okay.
I couldn't understand why, when he's thought about so much detail and so many other things through, why that would be like that. Right. Pass. Okay. Excused.
The thing is, he made the fake veneer that's on the real vehicle, the wood grain. He made that all out of armor plating. That's also brilliant.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little build. I love that paint job and the sort of the zinginess of those little orange rust spots. They're just a really nice contrast to that.
It does contrast super well with the green, and the green is also so softly applied, and with the shadowing, the paintwork is really, really well done here. Yeah,
it's a lovely little build. Yeah. And everything just seems to fit nicely. All that extra detail on roof doesn't look as though it's sort of perched there. It looks as though it's like sat there properly as part of, it could almost be a casting. It's sort of that nicely done.
It's really well packed, isn't it? It definitely feels, I mean, I am one of the people who saw the mould lines on top of the blue, or not the mould lines, sorry, the 3D print layers on top of the blue cooler, and that broke my heart because that's the first thing you see on that, the kind of the quick key photograph of it. And to me, that's everything else you've said is absolutely true. It is gorgeous. It's beautiful. I've never seen the films. I don't get any of the references, but I believe it's a beautiful car.
Go watch them now.
But that this call is already long enough. But those print layers broke my heart because it was the first thing I saw, and I went, oh. So I will say I was one of the. I mean, I wasn't a judge at this point, but that was one of those tiny details that is just a personal bugbear. It's like other people seeing Lego studs and immediately, wanting to cast that entrant into the fires. I saw the print lines and went, no. That's ruined.
We've called Jeff out on this time and time again, so I feel bad sort of hammering it home yet once more. Colin's told him how to calibrate his printer and all the things he should do. But consistently, amazing builds, but then with this, these layers.
Anti-analyze and setting.
Anti-aliasing, isn't it? Anti-anal.
That's the one. Anti-anal.
Put it away to put the layer width a bit smaller. It'll go away. Or just paint it well.
July is Life of Crime, and our winner that month was Mark Giacco with his prison stripe prison car with an absolutely stonking beast of an autocannon on the roof.
I remember it being a weird month, and there wasn't the sort of enthusiasm in the Facebook group. I think everybody sort of struggled working out what needed to be done. I think it was just a dead weird thing. I know I really struggled with it. Yeah, a weird month, like you say.
It was an interestingly challenging theme. Despite the fact that you go, it's Life of Crime, and then you go, okay, well, what does that actually mean for a build? And what does that mean for a Gaslands team? And so one of the things that was repeatedly come back to in the Facebook group was just build a Warden car. Don't worry about it too much. Build a car that fits with Warden. Looking at this car now, the quality of the paint on the stripes and the rust is lovely. It's perhaps a little monotone orange, but it is really striking. But there is a lot of things about the build that make me go, is that as gold as some of our other golds? It's great, but is it up there? Like the size of that autocannon, and then the kind of where the car is sitting and how it sits on the car. The fact that it's kind of belt fed with this massive kind of comical kind of sort of green belt, it looks a bit weird. The guns on the bonnet, I'm a bit torn by. But there are other bits of the build that I do love. The piping kind of rig that the autocannon is mounted on is great. The really chunky bolted bars across the mesh at the front of the windshield looks great. The kind of the bullet hole marks with the soot and powder burn elements are lovely. But it's a little, other than that green strike, which I think is the wrong colour to bring in this palette, personally, it feels quite orange monotone.
Lovely orange. I do like the orange. I do love how that paint is faded.
Yeah.
That is my favourite thing about it. The rest of it I'm a bit meh with, but I just love how that paint fades, that colour fades out. Like it is.
Yeah.
It's sat in a field somewhere, and then they've dug it out, and then they've done it up.
Yeah, something like that. It's also, again, this is one of the lesser complicated technical builds because, well, quite in fact, it's just a Citroen DS car with 2 guns bolted on it. It's not the casting isn't overly modified, and that's also weird because it's all the paintwork that does the talking and the heavy lifting for this build. Because I do like it. I have a soft spot for these cars. I've helped restore these this real thing, so that's a plus in my book. But then again, the paintwork is so well done, and it carries so well. And this is also not an easy cast to do. Because these are, I think this is the Matchbox one. No, sorry, it's the Majorette one. And they're in box scale, they're very small. So, and it doesn't look small because he has hidden that quite cleverly with all the window armor and such. So you couldn't guess the scale of it. And that's really well done. And if you're able to do that, that's also a skill. Yeah.
You would absolutely believe if somebody told you this was a 124 kit, you'd look at that and you'd go, yeah, I could believe that. Yeah. I could absolutely believe that. And I think that is absolutely a testament to the quality of the modelling. I think you're right. It's quite a simple build. The belt is a big thing for me that I'm not a big fan of, but there is a lot to for what is a relatively simple build. There's a lot of really beautiful things going on with the paint job, even if overall it doesn't wow me as much as, you know, the softness of Jeff Burbage's greens, for example. And I don't think this is Mark Jacko's best work. It's good. Obviously it was the best of the month. I don't think it's his best entry in this video.
Yeah. It falls down to that old standard. We keep telling people paint sells the model. You look at the paint first. You can have the best build on the world and you paint it with your fingers and all of a sudden everyone's going, now what's that? You have a simple build, which this is essentially a simple build, and he's painted it really, really well to bring it onto theme, and it just sells it. And it's the reason why it won. I'd also like to remind people that it was a 4-day build. From the launch to him submitting it, 4 days.
Yeah, which is remarkable in and of itself.
Yes.
Into the summer now, August. Performance cars, which was a theme that had been asked many times. When are we going to have performance cars? When can we have performance cars?
Don't recall anyone ever asking.
And in the group, it'd be great if we could have performance cars. So we did performance cars. And the person asking for performance cars didn't actually enter. But that's a different story. That month, we had Jonathan de Backer, a Belgian entrant, and he came first, which he was quite surprised about himself, I think, because we did have some other big hitters in. Jonathan came in first place with his riff on, I forget the name of the car. It's for a computer game. I talked about it.
It's a Carmageddon.
Carmageddon, yes, but what the name of the car is in Carmageddon, it's been driven by some weird kind of bondage guy in a gimp suit.
The Count Slash, because the original one is a
Count Slash. Countach. So say it. Countach. That's the one. I've been practicing. That's right. Yeah. This again was one of these months where I think everybody voted a little bit on it. And it came out top.
I liked the green a lot. It's a very, I know people can debate about kind of painting styles and so on, and I do admit this is a bit mixed. But for me, the white and the green have got a lovely kind of streaky, painterly, almost impressionist style that really worked for me. It wasn't trying to be hyper realistic. It wasn't like Mark Jacko's from the previous month where you've got this beautiful realistic weathering. This time it was very cartoonish, very almost computer game like in a kind of 90s graphic style, and I really liked the white and the green. With the purple it definitely made me think of Buzz Lightyear, which was a bit weird, but I did like that. It's slightly, for my mind, it is let down by the metalwork, because the metalwork isn't it's painted in a different style. That seems to be just, we've painted it metal and then we've done some washes. But the green and white bodywork really was very striking.
Yeah, it's almost got a sort of sense of speed just from that sort of slight streak into it and stuff. I really like the paint job on it as well because of all those sort of reasons John's just mentioned. It just sort of stood out to me as looking like a performance car that's going to be tearing around a track at high speed, taking no prisoners. It just really stood out from a mixed bag of entries. It was another month that was sort of nobody really hit the nail on the head properly.
But you would have thought with performance cars that'd be a really obvious one. It's sort of really sort of clear theme, really clear cut theme. But people sort of struggled with it.
We all had our own individual favourites, I think. We all had things we really liked from different builds. But this was the one that universally we all went, this is top three. This is definitely good.
It looks fast, it looks dangerous.
Yeah,
I think
which, as you say, it's performance cars. It should be dead simple. It needs to be fast and dangerous.
Yeah, this is also an example of it's not painted the best. It's painted well, but it's not painted the best. But it's the way it is painted, I think, as Matt said, it looks fast.
Yeah,
it looks fast. And then also the chosen casting and the chosen team, tying it into those who know the Carmageddon games, it's instant win because it's do you remember that? Oh, it's a modern take on something classic.
You're absolutely right. You know, it looks fast, and I think something that's we've not really talked about at all this video because it's a whole thing in and of itself is quality of photographs, and this is photographed really nicely, so it looks fast. The actual submitted photos made it a lot easier to judge it well because of that. Whereas sometimes, you know, the angles just make a car look pudgy or make it look oddly proportioned. Whereas the angles on this just gave it speed from those photographs and let us get a good look at the paint job and the build and everything else.
Yeah, it's also, I think, in photography also makes or breaks a lot, as you say, John. This, on the black background, it reflects everything so well. And it makes it pop. Because if this was shot on a white background, I think we had this discussion once under as admins, if this has been shot on a white background, it would suck.
Absolutely,
it wouldn't present well.
It wouldn't look good at all. And it's partly why the rules say black or white background, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes you just need to pick that black that just lifts the vibrancy of everything else, really helps make it pop, especially with those whites. It just really helps.
Guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you,
yes.
but you've stopped moving.
Frozen. Yeah, I've got parental controls on my kid's tablet, and it turned off at 9 o'clock. It just locked me out, and I just had to turn it back on again.
Excellent.
We're definitely going to leave that.
Oh, so yeah, that's staying in the video, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, he's back.
But did anybody notice I'd frozen?
Yeah,
did
we just sort of stopped it, man.
Yeah.
It was a bit like,
sort of like.
I was like, if we say anything, it'll ruin the take. So let's just assume he's going to either cut all this because he's bored, or it's going to have images over the top, and let's not say anything.
So September, was 6 feet under, which was, as is the case with Clamsill themes, a bit off the wall, which was a combination, wasn't it? Or it was because it was to celebrate 6 years of the business, so he needed something catchy that went with that, and 6 feet under was the result. We suggested subterranean vehicles. He wanted death. No, he wanted hearses, specifically just hearses, didn't he? Which was going to be too restrictive because people might not be able to get the casting. And so we ended up with digging hearses as a theme, which is with Vikings and whatever else we got.
But people responded to the theme surprisingly well. Like, there was a broad range of really... It's interesting. Performance cars could do anything. People struggled. 6 feet under, we want hearses, we want digging machines, we want anything underground related, and we got some amazing kind of variety of builds.
And that was very close, wasn't it? The judges' top two. There's only 1 point in it.
Yeah.
Although the majority of the judges voted for the winner, all the judges did. There was 6 people voted for that off the panel. Yeah. It was Clint Cribley Cook. Which was his first win. Very different to his Fury Road builds, wasn't it? That he's much better known for. I think it was a deserved win. It was. He ticked all the boxes on that.
He has beaten out a couple of heavy hitters on this.
Absolutely.
Because we did like it the best. It wasn't the best, but we did like it the best.
It wasn't necessarily the best built. It wasn't necessarily the best painted, but it was the best.
It was the most cohesive and the most on theme, and it's a well-deserved win. I think it would be, and it would be doing it a disservice to say that there weren't other really high quality builds in the same contest. It's a really, really well-deserved win. I love the black and red paint scheme. I think it's very simple but really beautifully, effectively done. And the metalwork on it is, and I'm looking at the pictures again now, and there's just so much interesting variety on it. The big organ pipe exhausts at the front are lovely and dirty and chromy and interesting. The extra piping at the back, which might be even more exhaust or just extra defences. I think there's like defensive rebar and scaffolding poles are subtly different, and I love the different metals. That front grille and sort of front ram is so excessive it could be out of Wacky Races, and I kind of love that. That's kind of has that stupid joy that I think Gaslands truly needs, because otherwise it's just a bit too grim. And loved it. Really loved it.
Oh, I'm happy to hear, John, that you've seen the video, because I've reviewed this, and you worded better than I could. But I do like you've seen the video. It's exactly what I've told.
Yeah. No, it's the skeleton on the front, I think, is even in scale, which is possibly
it's not. It's slightly too large.
Slightly too large. Well, maybe they just fight people that are slightly larger. But
we put it down to a Halloween decoration.
Yes, it's plastic. Maybe it's a plastic skeleton. Yeah, like those 10-foot ones from Home Depot. So.
Oh, that's the first time I've seen the rebar in the window as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah.
No, I didn't realise that.
I do think Clint did a fantastic job of painting all the materials like the materials they're supposed to represent. And even if it's all rusty metal, it's also slightly different. And mostly to work faster, and you only have 1 month to build something amazing and to wow us. And then it gets repetitive. Oh, let's do all the grays. Oh, let's get out the airbrush, one sort of grey, whoop, up, spray, up, let's go to the next, and then, we'll tie it all together with a wash. And this seems like, I want a darker grey, I want a lighter grey, I want another highlight, I want some more rust here. And I think this is what made the story so much better on this car.
But the metalwork is great. The weathering on those tyres is lovely because it's quite, it's relatively uniform, and actually that's how tyres look, because they spin, and so they all end up in contact with the dirt. But there's there's some lovely soft, subtle browns around the underside of the doors and things, and it's just a really nice build. It's chaotic but still cohesive. And I think that's something we did see this month, was that some people's builds were very over the top, but they were over the top in such an over the top way that you struggled to put your eye on anything. Whereas here you go, okay, there's a bonkers ram, there's a bonkers engine, and then it's a hearse with a guy in a coffin standing up. I get it all, with like graveyard fencing going around it. It's all cohesive, even when it's quite chaotic.
Throwing a skull Molotov as well.
Yeah.
I liked how it merged sort of the gothic aspect of it, but with the 1950s sort of hot rod rockabilly aspect, and I thought it was a really nice mash of those two sort of styles.
A monster mash, perhaps.
But
there's definitely a Dragula kind of vibe to this.
Yeah,
one. There really
it,
is. Yeah.
We've got machine guns come out of headlights, so a lot of people do, but he's lifted the wheels on the front high enough so you can believe the machine guns can fit in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a subtle change, but it makes so much more sense when you look at it.
And the little clips on the scaffolding poles hanging off the side, they're really nicely done.
Yeah.
There's some really nice little tiny details on it that, very much tick the boxes for me. It's just, it's really good across the board. It needs some extra finesse in all sort of areas, but it does everything in a good way, and it ticks lots of boxes. It's it's a really nice build.
You take one look at this build, you put it on a gaming table, and you can say, "Oh yeah, this is my Beverly team color."
Yeah.
And the simples.
What you got there?
Hobgoblin, which is appropriate for October. Right.
Oh,
October. Better than Oktoberfest. Another theme that people have been wanting to do for some time, and they did. They stepped up for this one. We had some smashing, crumping entries that month. Our winner being Tom Brown. Is that his first entry? First time in the competition, I believe.
I shall check for you.
Yeah, with this Bad Moons truck with a big gawky, morky, grabby claw arm. But he did a fantastic job. Some lovely details, great paint job. It all came together, didn't it? It all came together. The right amount of scratch building, the right amount of details, on theme, in universe. Came out top, voted for by 6 of the judges.
I said this in the video, but the front of the truck, I just absolutely love. I think that combination of the wire mesh on a separate frame, so it's kind of spaced armour away from the cab, and then with those big chunky side plates, it just looked so orky, but also like something you could actually build and that you might mount on the front of your truck. And that was such a hard balance, I think, for entrants to get, was something that wasn't just orcs, but that was Gasland orcs. And this looked, as you said, really believable. I think the cab is brilliant. The arm is lovely and got all kinds of gubbins and extra random bits of armour welded onto places. The piping, I again, same as Clint's build actually. The piping perhaps is a weaker part of the build, but the yellow is generally gorgeous, and the front of the truck just really did it for me.
It was chunky. It was the right amount of chunky, boxy,
rugged.
Rugged, yeah, that's a good word. I need some more words to describe the way orcs build. Ramshackle, appropriately enough. Some of the others, we talk about people not finessing their builds enough. Some of the other orcs were too finessed, weren't they? They were too sort of fiddly and delicate. Whereas this was, the right
brutal.
Brutal. Yeah, this was the Yorkie bar. This was the Yorkie bar of the builds, compared to the. I don't know what's the next. The Cadbury's Flake. I don't know. I'm stretching a metaphor far too far now. It was chunky. It was properly chunky, and it put it in the universe appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The black flames on the paint job, kind of, and this is something I've fallen foul of, and it's something I know we've talked about before, but it's worth touching on, is that sense of when something is hand painted in universe, and when the 20mm scale guys have hand painted it themselves, there still needs to be a degree of detail that's plausible, and I think this really, really got that balance nicely, where it felt a bit messy, a bit kind of splotchy, but because it had been painted by the orcs, it didn't feel like it was a rushed paint job at all. It was a really thoughtful application that was then very cleverly weathered and cleverly made to look like it was a bit of a crappy hand paint job. And that's so difficult to balance, because we've all had comments, I think, where people have said, "Oh, that looks a bit rough, and you could have neatened to that," and you've gone, "Oh, damn! I wanted it to look rough because I wanted it to look like it was hand painted by an idiot in the post-apocalypse," and that's actually counted against me. And but I thought Tom did a really good job of, it looks janky, it looks rough, it looks orky, but it's still done with enough control that you can tell that he's a talented artist.
Can we talk about the claw?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Have you seen the weld lines on the claw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They work really, really well. Admittedly, weld lines don't actually rust, but we'll let him off on that one.
Orc ones do.
Perfect. All right, and we'll let you off on that one.
Yeah.
But it's the pipe work everywhere. It's just so orky. There's a little squig on there. It's just
Clinging
Yeah,
on.
I really liked it.
As well.
I love that scratch built, because that claw was all scratch built, weren't it? I'm
Yeah.
sure I saw some work in progress pictures.
Yeah.
And it's got all those cues to it being an orc build, but it's not something you'd see in 40k or Games Workshop stuff. It is Gaslands.
Gasland.
And it's, like you say, it's got that big chunky, it looks as though if it hits something, it's just going straight through it, because it is just a solid lump of metal. There's nothing subtle about it. It's just, a big cob of steel that'll bash through whatever, and maybe grab something on the way past and rip a chunk off.
Yeah.
I love this build. Out of all the builds that were entered, this one just stood out. It's like that is an orc build, but somehow in the Gaslands universe, and it just works.
November.
moustache night, wasn't
What
it?
was it? It was November the 5th. It was fireworks night, wasn't it? So we wanted exploding cars, and we wanted flaming cars, and we wanted cars with flames on, and we wanted things related to November the 5th and Guy Fawkes celebrations in the UK. And the community once again delivered, more or less, didn't they? And our first place that month was Paul Stallings.
I believe it's from California.
Paul's purple car, Paul's purple flaming car, which was just superbly done, wasn't it? It rose above the rest, particularly the fire on the back, the flames on the back, stylized yet realistic. A joke on the actual car, because it was a car notorious for catching fire if you ever rear-ended it, isn't it?
Incredibly dark Ford Pinto in joke, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And although it's not covered in guns or anything particular, we've got one on the other side, haven't we? It really does, as I think it's Mike Hutchinson said in his little review of it, it's really evocative of that car that's going over the finishing line on fire with flames. The guy's going to die, but he's won the race. Just as the car explodes into a fire.
This is on the actual achievement sheet from the game.
Yeah. Cross the absolutely cross the line while aflame. Yeah,
while on fire.
It's I am winning this race whether I live or die.
I think it's the Burning Man or something achievement.
I loved the glow. I loved that, OSL is a really difficult thing. It's really, really challenging. And part of the reason we set this was because it is a challenge. The soft, warm glow from the kind of the near side of the fire that's just creeping along the bodywork is beautifully subtle and really nails it. And it's such a challenge that alone was one of the things that drew my eye to this build, was the real vibrancy and warmth and heat radiating from that fire. It was great, really, really good.
It's so well painted. There's really well the softness and the fluidity of the coloring, and it's not the most technically advanced build. It's just a car, a big engine. A simple gun on the side, but the burning effect is so convincing. The gag of the Pinto car, but the only thing that disturbs me a bit is how the black smoke is done. It's a bit too glossy. That's the only minor point of this, because even the simple base, it's so well done. You could put this, if you did the picture in half, just have the front end, you put it on the background, and you would never tell it's not real.
I just like that he didn't use cotton wool, which is the go-to for a lot of people, or something fluffy and furry, and he went with this solid effect of doing the smoke solidly, and I think he pulled it off. I agree, the shiny isn't quite right, but it's still...
Yeah, if you hit that with an ultra matte
Yeah,
that would look different.
It would look very different, and I think it would really, yeah. An Ultramat. Well, we've
Is
got
that
two
me
here.
or is that him?
By their powers
Where is he from me?
combined, by their powers combined, hit it with an Ultramat. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I love how black that smoke is. That you can tell, and again, it ties into that dark joke. You can tell that's a fuel tank fire. You know, that is absolutely a petrol fire or gasoline fire, I guess. It's a great little machine. That the front third of it is just a pure basic but really nicely realised Gaslands racer. The middle third has this really interesting glow, and you can tell something's going wrong, and then the rear third is where everything has definitely gone wrong, and I love it. It's really nice.
It's even the fact that he's put the glow on the back of the driver's head.
Yeah.
And if you look at the weapon on the other side, it's also you got the OSL on there.
Yeah.
On the back face of that.
Yeah.
So it's nicely done. It's thought out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just some nice little details that don't need to be there, but they just, like the wire leading from the back of the minigun sort of strapped on the side, that didn't need to be there, but it just adds a little something, a little point of detail, and those little bars that run under the doors, it's like, it's subtly done, but just nice. And the front, would it be classed as a skid plate coming from the bumper under the front of the car? That's nicely done, you know. It's drilled and got scratches on, even though you can't see it. So there's just these little subtle hints here and there that are just attentions to detail that lift it a bit.
Can I be really, really picky?
One of the wheels isn't on the ground.
No, that wasn't. I'll forgive that. It's the holes in the minigun barrels. Have a look at that.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. They're off centre. There's more barrels than there are holes, I think. And it's just looking at it now, it's just quite clumsily done. And everything else is so beautifully done.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the other first place winner that month?
The other winner.
The other winner.
Yeah.
Which was Nick Kitch, of course.
With his flaming Let's Let.
Yeah, so Nick Kitch's, as you say, Hurtmark. I reviewed this in the video as well, didn't I? I particularly like this. I loved the driver's almost Olympic torch flame arm that's coming out, connected to this. I've got Chariots of Fire music playing in my head as I see it. Connected to that barrel of gunpowder in the back, the flame work on the bonnet, the very nice gradation of the yellows to the oranges to the reds, and nice and crisp with the red flames, and then contrasted with those blue. An unusual place to put those exhausts. I don't think we've ever seen that, have we? Coming out at that position, that's a completely legitimate place to put them.
Well, it's the perfect place to put them because that casting actually has two holes coming out there.
Oh, well, there you go then. There you go.
Yeah, the Hero Hata Merc has that.
We've got another headlight machine gun, but I really like what he did with the piece of rebar so that you could see the wiring and see the internal gubbins and go, no, it does just fit, I promise. Which is I'm not completely sold on, but that was a really nice touch. That was a really beautiful little bit of detail. If it had just been a barrel sticking out of the light, we'd have probably sighed a little bit and been slightly less impressed by it, but that was really nice.
He would have sold that better if he actually had the mud on the tyre in the tread instead of on top of the tread.
Yeah.
It's that Gasland sins. That Gasland sin strikes again. I liked the use of the blue flame and the flame in his hand and the hood flame, but I'm not sure that the exhaust flames are as good as either the one in his hand, which has got that lovely movement, or the painted hot rod fire on the hood.
I also do think Nick does notice if when we review these things, and I think he also got the memo on how we riff on the machine gun in the headlight thing, and so he said, "Oh, let's get the fender off. Let's see that it does work. We can do it." So, and that's really great because Nick has improved so much. I'm a fan of Nick's work, and they're also the only thing I'm really disgusted about is the blue snow cone sitting on the exhaust. I can't unsee it. I cannot. But it's the rest is brilliantly done. It's a beautiful car. It's well done. The gag with the flame is done, and the flame on the torch is good. It's very well done. But then why would you go for the blue? Just not to oversaturate the exhausts with more reds or red colored fire, and then it turns in like an upside down ice cream cone.
They sculpted, yes, he sculpted them from green stuff, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah, he made them well, so it's done okay. But then how it doesn't translate as a high octane backfire to me. If it had maybe a couple touches of yellow or orange around the tips to break that color a bit, it could have worked better.
Are they painted the wrong way as well? Should they not be lighter in the crevices and darker on the? I think that lets it down as well. It's been really nice seeing Nick's work develop over the months. And he's one of those few people that looks to listen to feedback and develop his builds. Even over, I've only been doing this for a couple of years now. And Nick's always been about, and it's been nice to see that development, and he listens and he takes it on board, and it's evident that he's now getting first places, and I like his stuff, and I like this build. It's really nicely done. Like all the things that have been mentioned, just that little fuse running to a big barrel on the barrel of gunpowder on the back, ready to do a kamikaze suicide run into something. It's just a really nice car. It's got its flaws, but I think it works really well.
We haven't really talked about the black or the rust, and it's perhaps not the most thoughtfully placed, but it's really nicely placed in terms of from a kind of artistic perspective of where it sits on the build to break up the black, to give spots of colour, to give spots of highlight. He's done a really good job of making a good looking car. I'm sure if we sat down and went, oh, well, if it had been rusting, would the rust be in these places and where would it be rusting? We'd probably be able to pick it apart thoroughly like that. But actually, purely from a visual perspective, he's absolutely nailed having enough interest to break up the black bodywork. And it's lovely to see. It's really great. I think it's a really genuinely well-deserved joint first from both of them. There are things we love about both builds, and maybe we there's one we perhaps prefer a little more than the other. But this is absolutely, no doubt, an equal first place. It's not a second that's been bumped up. It really is a good piece of kit.
Last but not least is December's car of the month, which was Technicals. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. It's our last car of the month review. And our winner by a long way was Mark Giacco with this cool combi. With a ball turret from, is that B52? Somebody going to correct me on that?
B17.
B17. Yeah.
B17, okay. Or B17 ball turret.
Montgomery at the front.
Monty on the front, the Union Jack on the roof. I mean, not that sways it. We're not that nationalistic, but
German
nice
camouflage.
I was going to say the camouflage is not British. The camouflage scheme is decidedly not British. So
international.
Yeah,
no, it's a nice take on the German camo.
But we're talking Matt Whitham levels of details here, aren't we? Really, without offending Matt or Mark. But we are. It's hard to tell. I'm assuming these are 3D prints and not taken from an Airfix kit or the similar, because they've been the wrong scale.
I think
172 would have worked.
He sculpted them.
I think he 3D sculpted them, then printed them. Sorry,
right.
He designed it. I'm pretty sure, because he's got it on his. I can't remember, one at 3D sites under his name.
Oh, he did. So yeah. Well done to him. It looks really good.
Well, he does quite a lot of 3D designing for his builds.
Yeah.
I know he did the wheels and the hubcaps and such.
I really love the paint scheme is eclectic, but it really works well together. It manages, again, like we said with Clint's hearse, it's chaotic, but it is cohesive. and the spot of colour from that Union Jack on the top is a bit bonkers and a bit out of place, but works with Monty and works to add a spot of colour. The silver of the ball turret's lovely. It's not just monochrome. And then there's this kind of slightly crazy version of the German tank camo, but it all fits together beautifully cohesively, and I think that's the same both for the paint job and for the build. This absolutely feels like it's a plausible, stupid but plausible thing somebody could build. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one.
Apart from the nuts and bolts on the wheel fenders, why are they there? They don't attach to anything.
For roughness.
Yeah, texture.
Street grab.
Maybe they are added on so that if you are walking over those fenders, I mean, I don't know if they're strong enough to stand on, but you've got some grip and you don't fall off the tank.
Okay.
They're just plot devices.
Yeah.
I do take note of the zebra painted door on the right side of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So well done.
It's like even the nice weathering on the windows of the ball turret. It looks like glass, although it's a solid print.
Yeah.
That little
really well done.
Yeah.
Crud and dust and dirt in the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dusting and re-wiping it, so it does look, because even if you take a picture from the back and you look at the big round window in between the machine guns, it just looks like, oh yeah, it's dark inside. It's just a dusty window.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I think I reviewed this, and I think I really struggled finding many flaws with it. I think I pulled up the size of the checker plate on it, just being a bit out of scale. But that's sort of the quality of it. It's hard to diss it. I didn't like the front bumper. I thought that looked a bit numb on the casting, but that's the casting, not the.
Are those in the cast? Is that in the cast?
That is in the cast.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does look. He hid it well. He hid it very well.
It looks like it'd be an absolute pain to try and that doesn't look like it's easily dremeled off without doing a lot of damage to the front. So
yeah.
You'd need to reshape half of the nose to do that.
But that was the point I got to in sort of reviewing it and trying to find something to go, oh, you could do this better. It's like, yeah, it's hard work. It's a really nice build.
It was a very, very clear gold that month.
Yeah, sure. It's an awesome build. I do like this one really a lot. Also, I'm biased because he has used a ball turret, which I have used in my first debut, and he has used a T1 combi, as I did with the one that won Car of the Year for me. And he did it better than me, so okay.
Right then, so we've seen all 12 or 13 winners from last year. So let's go through each of the judges and find out from everybody your top 3 builds from this year. Any volunteers who'd like to go first?
I'll go first, since everybody else puckered slightly. My top 3 in reverse order for added drama. In third place, I put Paul Starling's Fire build. I thought the Pinto, I loved the OSL in it. I thought it was a very Gaslandsy car. It met the theme, was really nice. In second place, I put Matchek's Hermit Crab, because it's a badass hermit crab, and if mine can't win, his should. And I thought it was just such an evocative build. It was so on theme for the seaside and Life's a Beach. The scratch build on the diver and the lantern were just gorgeous. It was just hugely oozed theme and was really evocative. But I do take into consideration some people's points that is it really Gaslands? And to my mind, the most evocative, most thematic, most technically accomplished and best build this year was Mark Jacko's Technical in December. So it took us 12 months to get there, but that was my favourite for the whole year. I love everything we've just talked about, the paint scheme, the technical nature of it, the nature of it as a technical. It was great, it was on theme, and for me it's a well-deserved first place.
Okay, thank you very much. Matt, do you want to tell us your top 3?
Oh, go on then. So, same again, starting in 3rd place. Yeah, I'm going for Paul Stalling as well. I just really liked it as a build. Yeah, beautifully sculpted flames, just beautifully executed. Yeah, really nice build. For my 2nd place, I'm going with Jeff and his National Lampoon's car for the movie month. I just really like the paint job on that. There's just the colours pop. There's beautiful attention to detail. Yeah, I just really liked it. It was one I was happy to lose to. So yeah, it was another beautifully executed vehicle. And then 1st place, same again. I'm going with Mark Giacco. That technical from December is just a beautiful thing. It's weird, it's quirky, it's Gaslands, it's battered, it's bruised, it's rusty. It looks like it'll rip the enemies to shreds. It's just really, really nicely done. There's just beautiful details on it. Beautifully built, made, painted, just ticks all the boxes.
Okay, very good. Colin, do you want to go next?
Me? Right. Okay, 3rd place, I've got Rob Churchill's with his Mishkin Racer. It's a casting we all know. People of my age love that casting because we're old and nostalgic, and he's just made it look amazing with the camouflage on it, digital camouflage. It just looks nothing like the original casting does. The 2nd place, I'm going with Jeff Burbridge, National Lampoons, just because I'm such a fan of the films. The armor plating looks like the wood paneling on the original vehicle. It's just nicely done. As Matt's already said, the painting's top notch. It just looks beautiful. And then on 1st place, I'm not going with you two. Don't agree. It's Matt's in January. The Commuter Chaos. There's just something about that build. It's just got it all. It's the little finicky parts, the cork gun, the photocopier hanging off the back. It's just, just amazing build, Matt. I'm just in awe of when I saw it and then saw this picture of all the little parts that you put together before you painted them. And it's just like, wow, the bloke's a lunatic. That's why we love you.
Brilliant. All right, David.
Seeing them all again, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's the best 12. Yeah, of course it's gonna be hard. 3rd place, I'll be doing also the National Lampoon car, the Family Truckster by Jeff Burbidge. I do think the same thing as Colin. It's so well done. It's so nicely done. The color is great. You also instantly recognizable and still, in the end, as a Gaslands car, usable in the game. You can put that on and say, oh yeah, that's a Gaslands car. But oh, look, it has a movie theme. And very well done, very well executed. I loved it. For my 2nd place, Mark Jacko. It's stunning. It's a stunning build. That little combi with the turret on the back, it's just stunning. I like it a lot. And then again, it has that, a bit of that brown blandness to it that turns me off. There's nothing wrong with it. I would even do a shared 1st place with who I think should be the winner. So it's so good. But then again, for my 1st place, I think I'm going with Paul Stallings. I do like the cleanliness, the realistic painting way of how the engine and the exhaust are done. If you look from that car from afar, you couldn't say it's not real. It's well done. It should be a bigger scale. You could not tell it's 1/64. The only downside this one had for me were the black smoke plumes. But I do think if I should choose only one to pick with me and impress someone on the game board, it should be Paul Stallings.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, shall I upset the apple cart? All right. So in 3rd place, my 3rd place is Matt's A-Team build. And I wasn't going to choose this, but I have changed my mind, learning that they weren't 3D printed 18 members that you customise those from existing North Star models. I think that just pipped it for me. And while some people think it wasn't on theme or it wasn't particularly Gaslands, no, I absolutely loved it, and it got a very soft spot in my heart. It's not just a nostalgia vote; it was just wonderful. My second place, again, this is going to be controversial, is Madches. I've got a thing about crustaceans and sea creatures. I love that diving helmet. I love the fact that the crab has got a wooden leg. It's got a fake leg. It's got a piratey crab. So many lovely details. Harvey hearties. So that is my second. Yeah. Isn't that a lovely little detail? And I think for detail and finessing and being on theme and being in the universe, it's Mark Jacko would be my first place for all the reasons we've already said. So let's have a commercial break and come back, and you can find out who is Gaslands UK's Car of the Year.
Hello there, Wastelander. Do you find your life meaningless, shallow, and otherwise devoid of pleasure? Does polishing the skulls of your conquered enemies just not hold the same allure as it used to? Have you ever found yourself wishing you have some kind of creative outlet, hobby, or just a therapeutic pastime to keep away the inexorable tide of existential dread? You do? Then why not try Gluck Cotton? Yes, you heard me correctly. Gluck Cotton, Gaslands UK's Car of the Month Challenge. The post-apocalyptic die-cast toy car modelling competition. Each month we give away a plethora of top-notch, high-quality prizes donated by these generous sponsors. Tired of spending all your hard-earned bottle caps on other more expensive hobbies? You need Gaslands. Perhaps you have a large collection of toy cars nearby, either procured from a human child or recently acquired from the loft or attic of a parent or tribal elder. You need Gaslands. Do you have a penchant for the cinematic works of visionary director George Miller? You need Gaslands. If you said yes to most of these questions, then come along and make new virtual friends in a safe and friendly environment away from those other nasty wastelanders at Gaslands UK Facebook group.
So we've all conferred, and I think, it's not quite unanimous, but the vote is in. And this year's Car of the Year winner is Mark Jacko. Well done, Mark. Round of applause. For all the reasons we've already said, he has also been consistently excellent, hasn't he, this year? He has raised the bar. He's come out of nowhere. He's come in and he's raised the bar with nearly all his builds have. So I do think that is a well-deserved win from him. So, as is now tradition, we like to give away the title of... what is the title?
Group expert.
There's a big badge.
What?
Group
Expert.
Group expert. Start again. So, as is traditional when we do this video, we like to give away a title every year to a group expert, someone we feel has contributed to the community, somebody who has actively improved, and somebody who's got the skills and ability to be able to instruct others and to generally guide some of our newer members with their skills and their knowledge. And this year, we would like to nominate, and I feel like I need a little trumpet to blow for. Clint Gribbly Cook. Well done, Clint. I need something to. I just paintbrush. I do dub thee Sir Clint of Gaslands UK. Congratulations.
As our resident Mad
As
Max
our-
expert.
As our resident Mad Max Fury Road expert and maker of scratch-made wheels. Nobody else literally scratch builds wheels, do they? So, well done, Clint. Thank you very much. And well done, Mark, obviously, and everybody else who's entered one of our competitions for the last 5 years. All 60 of them. We're still running the contest. That will still be going on in Gaslands UK, the Facebook group. Come and join us in the Facebook group. Never mind about Mark Zuckerberg. Just create an account just for Gaslands UK. Nobody else needs to know. And long
And
may
answer the
it
questions
continue.
when you join.
And answer the questions. Yeah, don't just come along and expect to join because we think you're a Nigerian prince who wants to extract some money out of us. Right. I'm not racist. That's a common email scam. Okay.
Disclaimer.
What a way to end this video.
I can't end it like that, can I?
In all seriousness, answer the damn questions.
Yeah, just answer the questions. So, thanks.
One of us will say no.
Quite fast.
So thank you
Go
to Colin Havard, Matt Whitham, David Bousset, John Simpson Wedge, Daz Phillips, who is here in spirit.
We missed
Thanks,
you, Daz.
We missed you, Daz. We'll see you soon, hopefully. And of course, from me, Matt Reeve, thank you very much, and goodbye, Wasteland.
Good night.